And here we are, my dear friends, April the 11th, 2026. April 11th. My goodness, time is flying. Welcome to the Dr. Sem Yankee Show. Today we're going to talk about a number of things, as always. But today, as if it were, I don't know, Sesame Street, we are going to be brought to you by numbers under 200. Remember when they used to do that on Sesame Street? We are brought to you by the number 5 and the letter G. Well, we are brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia, which you can find at apbooks.net, is a traditional publisher, which means if they decide to publish you, you do not pay any money to be published. They instead pay you. An independent traditional publisher located in the good old United States of America. Artemisia has a wide selection of fantastic books that encompass a wide variety of genres. And an author who's written in numerous of those genres for Artemisia is me. That's right. I've been fortunate and honored to be published by Artemisia many times. One of those books is the highly motivational 365.2, Going the Distance, A Runner's Journey. If you need motivation to get up and go do something that you heretofore thought was impossible, it's not. Read this book. I will show you that it's not impossible. Of course, my newest book, and we'll possibly have time to read from some of this today, The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number, a beautiful, thick, wonderful book. It's getting rave reviews from everyone who has read it. We count down from 99 down to 0, and then even talk about the greatest Yankees who never wore a uniform number. This book is sure to create debates, discussion, and excellent talking. Another one of my great books is my fantastic novel, Scattering the Ashes. If you have not read Scattering the Ashes, your life, well, is somewhat incomplete. As great as your life might be, it's somewhat incomplete. You need to read the greatest novel ever written, and it just happened to be written by me, Scattering the Ashes. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. It is a great novel. Of course, there's also the wonderful The Least Among Them. People are still talking about this book. They come up to me and they say, I love your book about the guys who played for the Yankees for just one day, The Least Among Them. And finally, Roy White's From Compton to the Bronx, an outstanding book. I just had lunch with Roy White a few days ago. One of the best parts, if not, actually, it is the absolute best part about writing this book with Roy White, is the fact that we have become friends. I didn't know Roy White before I wrote this book with him. And through the process and afterwards, we've become friends. And I'm always honored when he reaches out, or I reach out, and he agrees, or he reaches out to me and I agree to meet and have lunch or dinner, get together. It's always amazing to me that good things happen. And that's why I remind everybody to make today a great day. How do you make your day great? Well, it's simple. If you look around yourself and you notice the good, and you can't help but notice the good if you look around with an open eye and a warm heart. There's goodness that surrounds us in so many ways. Look around, find the good, embrace the good, bring it into your heart, cherish it in your heart. And that's the way to make your day great. But then, my dear friends, don't be selfish with that great day. Share the great day. Share it with others. Make other people's days great. And if you, by some chance, one day say, you know what? I can't find anything that's good. There's nothing good happening right now. Well, then go create good. Do something nice for somebody else, and then there is good. Remember, when we give love, it comes back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. There's also one other great book I want to mention, not by our sponsor, Artemisia Publishing, but by another wonderful publishing house, Sunbury Press, West Point at Gettysburg, Volume 1. Again, just listen to what James McPherson, probably the greatest living Civil War historian, has to say about this book. Paul Semendinger has produced a unique volume that is a combination reference work, collective biography, and narrative of the Battle of Gettysburg. In all of these capacities, it will be of great value to anyone interested in the American Civil War, especially its biggest and most famous battle. That's James McPherson, Dr. James McPherson of Princeton University. And he had that to say about my book. That makes me feel really good. I love being an author, and I love sharing ideas and big points and all sorts of things with everyone else. But as I said at the start, I'm going to pull out the newest Yankee book, though. We'll talk about this in a little while. Hopefully we'll have time. Today's show is brought to you by Numbers Under 200. Let's get right to it. Austin Wells is hitting 167. Jazz Chisholm is hitting 186. Jose Caballero is hitting 135. Ryan McMahon is hitting 069. Trent Grisham is hitting 162. J.C. Escara and Randall Gretchick are both hitting 0. Not much better. Aaron Judge is at 222. And Paul Goldschmidt is at 222. Cody Bellinger, not much better than that, is at 238. And that, my friends, is the Yankee lineup, except for Giancarlo Stanton and Ben Rice. Everybody else isn't hitting. So what a difference a few days makes. Earlier this week, I was in Hershey, Pennsylvania, watching my wonderful grandchildren, the cutest kids in the entire world. They just fill my life with joy and happiness. And it's indescribable. It really is indescribable to talk about the joy that grandchildren can bring. I mean, I don't know if there was anybody, and people who know me might tell you that they would agree with this, but I can't see how they would disagree. They're going to tell you this is true. I don't think anybody loved being daddy more than I did, raising 3 boys. Every day I'd come home from work, and the first thing I would do is I would play with my kids. We played with toy cars and toy trains and toy trucks, and we read books, and we played baseball and soccer, and we ran around the yard, and we ran outside, and we rode bikes, and we traveled, and we did everything that you could do. I coached them in soccer. I coached them in baseball. I coached them in basketball, even though I know nothing about basketball. And it was great. I loved being a dad, and I loved watching my children grow up, and I was sad when they grew up. I was sad when we put the rescue heroes away, and I was sad when we put the toy trains away, and I was sad when we put the Legos away, and the Lincoln Logs, and all of the various toys and things and the blocks that we played with. And now I get the opportunity, probably about twice a month, to spend some extended time with my grandchildren. And a lot of people say with grandkids, oh, the best part is you get to leave. You get to put them away and go on with your life. I got to tell you, the worst part is when I get to leave. When my wife and I leave the grandkids, we're sad. It is just a pleasure to watch them play and to watch them smile and to play along with them and read to them and, do all the things that I did as a daddy, now as a grandpa. And it's just one of the special joys. And it's not better than being dad, but my goodness, when you're in the thick of it and you're doing it, and we had the opportunity to be with them for 5 days. And for a few of those, we took care of them as my son and his wife traveled. It's just the best. But back then, earlier this week, when I was watching the grandkids and trying to find time to do the show at night after I put them to sleep, I was optimistic and I said the Yankees are doing great. I think they were 7-2, I believe. And I said, now they're going to come home and play the Oakland A's or the Sacramento A's or the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's, whatever they are. And, well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees swept. That's what I said. Well, the Yankees almost got swept. They lost 2 of 3. It was the first time since 2016 that the Oakland A's won a series at Yankee Stadium. A lifetime ago. Well, 10 years, but you get the idea. And here was the problem. Today's show is brought to you by all numbers under 200. Austin Wells, 167. Jazz Chisholm, 186. Jose Caballero, 135. Ryan McMahon, 069. Trent Grisham, 162. J.C. Escara and Randall Gritchick, 0 for both of them. That's pretty bad. That is pretty bad to have that many guys on your team who aren't hitting. And as I said, when I ran through those numbers the first time, Judge is hitting 222, Bellinger's at 238, and Goldschmidt's at 222. Now, again, all of those numbers were before the game last night. I record these programs on Friday before the game most often. I had to do it for this week's show because as you're watching this, I will be on a highway driving out to Hackettstown, New Jersey, to do a presentation, an early morning breakfast presentation on West Point at Gettysburg. Now, some people say, Dr. Sem, we would love to have you come to our organization. We would love to have you talk about one of your many books or all of your many books. We'd love to hear you tell us some history about the Civil War, about the Battle of Gettysburg, about the New York Yankees, about motivation. Well, you can reach me at Dr. Paul Sem, author at Gmail, if you would like to have an opportunity to have me come to an event at your place. Maybe the organization you're part of, reach out to me. I would love to come and I would love to share my knowledge, my optimism. I'd love to talk baseball. I'd love to talk about all sorts of things, including the Battle of Gettysburg, motivation, writing, and etc. And of course, don't forget, you can always find me at startspreadingthenews.blog, the greatest Yankee website there is. We put up articles every single day at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and 2 p.m. Nobody else does this. At least no other small independent blogs. You know, some of them are funded by big corporations and they just crank out AI articles. You can tell sometimes some of the articles you see on some of the other Yankee sites, it's just like generated like junk. Every one of our articles is written by us. We write the articles. Nobody else does. And nobody else does it better. We have a staff of great writers who do this because they love doing it. So come to Start Spreading the News. So what do I think about the Yankees right now? What am I thinking? Am I optimistic? They're in first place. They're 8-4. They're playing the Tampa Bay Rays. Well, if the Yankees sweep the Rays, they'll be 11-4, and all will look well. If the Yankees get swept by the Rays, the Yankees will be 8-7 and things won't be looking so great. If the Yankees win one and lose two, that won't look so great. If the Yankees win two and lose one, again, not so bad. They'd be 10-5, And if you're 10-5, you have double the amount of wins than losses in spite of all the problems they're having. Well, maybe they're okay. I wrote in the game summary the other day that in the game on Thursday, Jose Caballero, late in the game, with a 1-2 pitch, the Yankees, I think at that point, were still being no hit. They only got one hit, so it might have been after the one hit. Caballero hitting at that point about 142, as I recall, took a pitch. It was an obvious strike. And then he did the head tap thing, like, I'm challenging that. It was a called strike. It was an obvious strike. And then it was a strike. And I think that was the last Yankee challenge. You know, I like the idea of getting balls and strikes correct. And I think what the ABS system is showing is that by and large, the umpires are really good. When they're missing, they're barely missing. I mean, these guys are doing a great job by and large. But for a 142 hitter in a non-critical moment with 2 outs to challenge a pitch is absurd. It's asinine. It makes no sense. And it boils down to one of the problems I have with the Aaron Boone Yankees since Aaron Boone took over. There's just no greater understanding of the game and situations. Never in any situation should a 142 hitter have any inclination, except if the ball bounces in the dirt and the umpire somehow calls it a strike, to challenge a pitch. Even if he got that and it was made the count 2-1 instead of 1-2 or whatever, or 3-1, it wasn't going to make a hill of billions of difference. The guy's hitting 142. The manager has to set up some boundaries. The manager has to say, hey, listen, Jose, I hope you hit 500 the rest of the year. I believe in you. Go get him. But until you're hitting 500 the rest of the year, until you prove you're a legitimate hitter, you're not to challenge any of those calls. We don't want to lose our calls, our challenges, because a 142 hitter wasted our last one. Might I remind you, Jose, that there's another guy on the team named Aaron Judge, who just might be the greatest hitter in the game today, and who just might be one of the 4 or 5 greatest hitters in the history of the New York Yankees. You're not taking a challenge away from him. I know he's not hitting yet, but he's Aaron Judge. You, sir, are Jose Caballero. You're a backup playing regularly and not well, only because our regular shortstop, who doesn't really play that well, is injured and unable to play. You do not have the luxury, kind sir, of challenging a pitch, especially when it's our last challenge. No. You have to be able to differentiate, to understand the moment, and to not challenge. You need to save that challenge, that final challenge, for the big guy. You don't waste it. I think it was the 7th inning, but I didn't write this all down. I didn't go back and look at the box score. When it happened, I'm like, what? He's challenging it? Jose Caballero? Now, if he was hitting 372, I'd say, yeah, challenge, go, baby. You're hitting the tar out of the ball. But he's not. And so he can't be challenging. And the manager has to manage. The players have to know their roles. But Aaron Boone is a manager that just sort of lets things happen. And then he reacts. He's never been proactive. He's never been able to think ahead and go, shouldn't I put some parameters in regard to the ABS challenges? Nah, let's just see what happens. And then if it doesn't work out well, then I'll address it. I'll react to something negative rather than being proactive and ahead of something so that we actually have a strategy. This is one of the problems with the Yankees. Their manager doesn't manage. He's never really managed. He lets the game play and then he reacts to what's happening. But a great manager is thinking innings in advance. I had this wonderful distant uncle, I guess you'd say. His name was Uncle Henry, and he would come on Thanksgiving. Now, Uncle Henry emigrated from Germany. He spoke with a heavy German accent. And Uncle Henry was, I don't want to say a master chess player, but he was a darn good chess player. And among the family, the only other member of the family that knew how to play chess is me. Now, I am not a master chess player. I am not a novice chess player. I'm not a third grade elementary school level chess player. I'm a guy who knows that the rook goes forward and backward and side to side, and the bishop goes diagonally, and the horse jumps one up and one diagonal and things like that. And I call it a horse, not a knight, and I call the castle and not a rook. And I forget which side the king and the queen go when they're lining up, and then somebody reminds me, and then I go, oh yeah, I can play chess. I'm not good at chess. When I play chess, I think of my first move, which I don't really know why I'm doing it, but I do it. And then all I can do is react to what the other person is doing. And so on Thanksgiving every year, Uncle Henry would go, bing, bang, boom, chess. He wouldn't say check. He would say chess. And I go, what? Chess. Already? And then I'd move my king. And then he'd go, chess. And I'm like, what? How? And I'd move my king. And then he'd go, checkmate. And that was it. And that's what happens to the Yankees. Aaron Boone manages like I play chess. And we'll see what happens. I got my lineup, and if it all works, it's great. But if it doesn't work, I don't know what to do. Now, I was having this discussion on Start Spreading the News on Friday, just a little bit. A lot of people like to tout the fact that the Yankees led the league in runs scored last year, and they have led the league in runs scored in a lot of different years. They score runs. They do. They're a good run scoring team. It's a solid offense. And they tell you this, and they get passionate about it. And the Yankees score a lot of runs. And I made the point that the Yankees do score a lot of runs. But if you score 10, 10, 10, and then 0, 0, 0, while your run score average is 5, those zeros are problems, as are the 10s. The 10s bring up the number, but the average doesn't really indicate how the Yankees have really performed as hitters. If you're winning a game and you win a game 10-3, most of those other 7 runs, the difference, or the other 6 runs, are probably irrelevant. And that's probably a game that the Yankees were up 6-1, then 8-1, then 9-2, and then they got a run 10, and the other team gets a run at the end 10-3 or whatever like that. most of those runs, the game was settled. It was long ago settled. But then when the Yankees lose 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, you see time and time again that they don't know how to manufacture runs. They can score when Giancarlo Stanton homers, when Aaron Judge homers, when Jazz Chisholm homers, when Austin Wells and Ben Rice homer, they can win. But if the other team is shutting them down and not letting them get extra base hits, the Yankees don't know what to do. And Aaron Boone, who's managing minute by minute and reacting to what's happened rather than planning ahead, doesn't know how to manufacture runs. This is why the Yankees lose year after year in the postseason, because the manager isn't managing. And the other manager is like my Uncle Henry. He's innings ahead. He's planned things out that the Yankee side doesn't have any clue about. The Yankees are going like, oh, next inning, we're going to send up Jose Caballero, Austin Wells, and Randall Grichuk. Well, let's see what happens then. Let's hope for the best. Meanwhile, the other team's going, well, if we can get those three guys out this inning, and then the next inning we'll get this guy and that guy, I can bring in my right-hander to face Judge. Now, of course, he'd then have to face Bellinger, but then Bellinger's hitting only 174 against this guy. I mean, they're thinking innings in advance. If this happens, then we're going to do that, and this guy will get up in the bullpen, and we're going to have that guy ready on the bench. On the other side, the Yankees are going like, all right, a walk here would be interesting. I don't know what we'll do if he walks. We'll figure it out if the guy's on first base. But let's see what happens. It's right there in front of us. Now, again, I'm over-exaggerating, but that's the sense you get watching them. They're playing it as it happens instead of being ahead of the action. That's what they need the manager to do. The manager needs to be ahead of the game. He needs to be out-thinking the manager in the other dugout. And the managers of the better teams don't get out-managed. They out-manage the Yankees. And this is why the Yankees can't seem to win a World Series and why they lose every year in the playoffs. It's because they get out-managed, because they just don't look ahead. And the ABS thing with Jose Caballero going, yes, let me waste our last challenge on a strike 2 pitch with 2 outs in the 7th inning while I'm hitting 142 is an exact example of that. A good manager would be ahead of that by a mile. A good manager would have said to the guy before he even went up, listen, I don't care if you think he threw a pitch 4 feet outside. You're not challenging it. Don't challenge. You don't have the right to challenge right now. Not with our last challenge. And I would say not even with our second to last challenge. I would say not with any of our challenges. You're hitting 142. Show me you can hit, and then you can challenge. And if you have to remind them of that before they get up, then remind them of that before they get up. But that's not how the Yankees operate. Oh, challenge. Oh, nope, it was a strike anyway. They have to figure this stuff out. They need to get ahead of what they're trying to get ahead of. You know, speaking of getting ahead, we're already at the half-hour mark. Time flies. It goes too quickly. Maybe next week we'll read a little bit of The Greatest New York Yankees by uniform number. If you haven't gotten this book yet, get it. If you have it and you haven't given it 5 stars on Amazon and Goodreads and things like that, please do that. That always helps an author. It's always appreciated. But what else is appreciated is the fact that you decided to spend some time with me, listening to me talk about the Yankees. In the end, it's just fun. It's baseball, and it's supposed to be fun. We can get excited. We can have some fun. We can get annoyed. But it's baseball. And there's so many other things in this world that we should have true passionate about, true passionate feelings about. and things that we might need to get upset about sometimes, but not baseball. Be passionate about the game, love the game, but also understand that you need to keep it all in perspective. Like looking around and cherishing everything you see and valuing all the goodness that life has to offer. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and I'll be back Monday night, 9 p.m. with EJ Fagan on the Start Spreading the News Yankees podcast. Have yourself a wonderful day.